Ulcerative colitis is an inflammatory bowel disease which mainly affects the large colon. It's a long-term chronic illness which affects 1 in every 420 people living in the UK. It can be treated, but never cured. The guy in the bed you're looking at is me. I'm Henry, a happily married father of a beautiful little girl, and in 2010 I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. I suffered with regular flare-ups of the illness, but in 2012 things took a turn for the worse. So I decided to document my experience to hopefully help others who are going through the same thing, and especially those without the personal support network I had. I haven't been responding to treatment, so it's a case of the surgeons and my consultants are worried about needing to remove my colon, remove my large intestine. That would eliminate the disease, that would cut it out. But of course, it would mean that I don't have a large intestine for the rest of my life. The decision was made to try and get me through this major flare-up by giving me a course of infliximab, a drug that is often used for sufferers of Crohn's disease, a very similar illness. It wasn't guaranteed to work though. If I haven't made significant improvements, then the option is to go for emergency surgery, which is not what we want to do because no one wants to operate on somebody that's ill, full of steroids and very inflamed. Because it's chronic, you can't cure it. The only way to get rid of it is by getting rid of the infected area, but you can control the intensity and the regularity of the flare-ups. Unfortunately for me, the whole of my large intestine is riddled with the disease. If I was to respond to treatment, it would allow me the decision to carry on with the medication and have the option of elective surgery at a later date. If I didn't respond as hoped, I was almost certainly looking at emergency surgery to remove my hugely infected bowel. Major surgery when my body was so ill could cause all kinds of complications. Either way, there was a long and daunting road ahead. This time last week I was told by my consultants and my surgeons, because of the state of me, that they were pretty sure, 80% sure, that I'd be under the knife this week, having emergency surgery to remove my large intestine to try and get rid of this ulcerative colitis. But as you can see, I'm out. I'm still not better, but I'm at home now, on a lot of drugs, and the next 2 months are pretty important, really. So things were going better than expected, but I needed to hope that my body continued to respond to the drugs. If they did, it would be decision time. Do I go for elective surgery and get rid of the disease completely, or do I really give it a go and try and continue the treatment? It was the biggest decision of my life. Amongst everything else, I had to consider that if I had surgery, I would need to spend a few months, if not longer, with a bag to collect the waste from my body to allow my insides to heal, something I hoped I would never need. If I have the surgery, I'll be rid of the disease completely, but if I stay on the drugs, I'll always have ulcerative colitis. It's been a week now since I left hospital, and I'm on my way back into hospital now, so I can have the next lot of my infliximab treatment, which is an immune suppressant drug, which is kind of bridging me onto another drug, azathioprine, which I'm also taking at the moment. Everything's been working pretty well. All my bowel movements have been pretty much spot on, so I'm feeling well in that respect. But the last 3 or 4 days have been horrendous with side effects. Things weren't going smoothly, though. Well, that was a bit of a waste of time, really. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to have my infliximab treatment today because the nurses think that I've got an infection because my temperature was up, and the fact that I'm wheezing on my chest. They put a stethoscope on my back and they could hear some wheezing, so they think that, well, they said I'm too ill to actually receive the treatment. Even though I was leaning towards having surgery, I was still unsure what to do, and found myself reading about other people's experiences of a total colectomy and how they coped without a bowel and what life was like with a bag. The best advice, though, would come from my consultant and surgeon.
Talked about surgery and decided to do rescue therapy with infliximab, which he did respond to very well, and we kind of bridged him with azathioprine. And now he's come back to discuss surgery.
It was the first time I'd seen these two gentlemen since falling so ill, and I had total trust in them. I knew that very soon I'll be a step closer to deciding what route to take.
So obviously came into hospital, weren't very well, and now we're kind of trying to decide what to do next, really. Whether we continue going down trying to manage it medically with medicines, or whether we try and get you to remain well and think about doing an operation electively in inverted commas when you're well, as a kind of prelude to avoiding you becoming unwell again.
One of the main things for me is the family. You know, I do want to start a family, and I could be back in hospital having to have emergency surgery when Sophie's pregnant or due to have a baby, and that for me, you know, it put quite a lot of stress on Sophie when I was in hospital anyway.
Sure. Your odds of running into trouble and ending up needing a bowel out urgently or as an emergency in the first year is probably of the order 55%, which is a fairly high number compared to somebody who would have stable disease or no medicines at all. And then that number will rise higher over, say a couple of years' time. And the number of people who are on steroid-free remission, over a few years is quite a small number. So there is a good argument for doing surgery electively when you're well, in inverted commas, because we know that it's a much riskier procedure to do it in an emergency situation, like when you're on the ward.
With elective surgery, how long would the recovery period be? How long would I have to spend in hospital, and how long would I be out of action for?
Okay, well, as we talked about, there are a couple of different options in terms of the surgery if you're well. And one is to remove the entire colon and the anal canal and give you a permanent ileostomy.
Yeah.
I think we largely discounted that when you were in hospital when we spoke, and we talked about this pouch procedure, an ileal pouch procedure, where we remove the entire colon and rectum and make a new, in effect, rectum reservoir from the terminal ileum, which is the end of the small bowel. And that functions as a rectum. It allows you to maintain control, and it allows you to do what we call defer, which is where when you've got colitis you get this urge to suddenly go.
Yeah.
You can't control that. With a pouch you can normally prevent yourself from needing to go and defer to a time that's socially appropriate.
It's pretty incredible, really, isn't it? The fact that you can...
There's still major surgery, and it does have risks associated with it.
Perhaps have a think about it a bit more, and and let us know.
If I was to go through with surgery, it would be a while before I was fully fit enough to do so. This gave me time to meet with Dave, who, like me, had suffered with ulcerative colitis. Unfortunately, he was so ill that he needed the emergency procedure, and unlike elective surgery, which comes in 2 parts, the emergency procedure comes in 3. These are often spread over a number of months, and Dave was getting ready for the 3rd and final part of this incredible series of operations.
What was life like having an ileostomy bag? Did it affect you in any kind of way?
Yeah, it's in certain ways, but it's from what it's given me. I can't fault it, because it's given me a new lease of life. Because sometimes when I was really bad, I couldn't go out of the house and things. I couldn't, do normal things. It was affecting me at work. But I cannot fault it really, because it's given me a new lease of life, and I can do everything I was doing before.
Socially, has it improved your life?
Since the operation, it's absolutely improved, no end. Socially, I go out a lot more than, I ever was.
What was the first thing that you wanted to do when you thought, hold on, I'm feeling all right? What was the first thing you wanted to do and achieve?
Yeah, I wanted to climb Snowdon, which I'd planned to do roughly around two years prior. But I couldn't do it because obviously the disease itself, and it wouldn't sort of allow me to do it. And I was having problems with my knees, causing inflammation, which is partly to do with the disease as well.
Dave was such an inspiration. He made me realise that I had to embrace what lay ahead.
After sitting down with Dave and hearing about his experience of surgery and living with an ileostomy bag, I thought, although I'm a bit nervous about it, I thought that was the best way for me to go to get better. So I phoned my gastroenterology team at Heartlands Hospital and told them that was the way I wanted to proceed. I'm now at Solihull Hospital to go to surgical clinic and meet my surgeon, Mr. MacArthur, and he's going to tell me exactly what's involved with the whole process.
The first operation entails removing the colon, removing the rectum, and that's all of the diseased bowel through your colitis. And then what we do is we fashion the pouch, and we join everything back together at that first operation. And then the ileostomy is in essence upstream of that pouch join, and that ileostomy just gives that pouch and all the staple lines and bits of the pouch time to heal, and minimises the risks of sepsis within your pelvis if there were any problems with the pouch. So it's just to give it that time to heal up. And then the second operation is to basically join the two ends of the ileostomy together, so that it puts the pouch in circuit and gets the pouch working. Although we intend to do it using keyhole techniques, we always warn people when we're doing keyhole surgery for colorectal operations that there's a chance of needing to convert to an open operation. I suspect that's unlikely in you. You're a thin chap, you haven't had any previous abdominal surgery.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't anticipate that being necessary.
Okay.
We would anticipate you making a good recovery post-operatively, and because of having had it done keyhole, getting up and about fairly quickly after the operation, eating and drinking hopefully either on the evening of the surgery or the day after, mobilising in that same time frame. And then usually the thing that would keep you in hospital afterwards would be you getting used to changing the ileostomy bag and that sort of thing. Any other questions or anything you wanted to cover today before we get you to sign a consent form?
No, I'm ready to go, I think.
Okay.
In case of any complications during surgery, there was just one more thing left to do.
Well, that was an experience I never thought I'd have to do. Storing sperm, a little bit weird, but it's all done now. I'll get a phone call later to find out whether it's good sperm that I've produced, and if it is, then they can store it. Loads of consent forms to sign. But that's it now, everything's done. I just need to get home and prepare myself for tomorrow's operation, which I'm still not looking forward to at all, but it's got to be done. So it's about 9 o'clock on the day of my operation, the big day, what I've been working up for. Really anxious, but I'm glad I slept last night. I don't know how I did it, but I did. But I'm here now, I've been here an hour. I've seen the surgeon, I've seen my anaesthetist, they've just gone through everything. So I'm pretty pleased with what's going to happen, going down about midday, so I don't know what I'm going to be doing for the next 3 hours. But I do actually, I'm going to have an enema. I don't like them at all. Probably clean you out.
Although I was trying to put on a brave face and make light of what was about to happen, I was incredibly anxious. I'd had operations before, but nothing that was going to have such an impact on my life and where such risks were involved.
I'm just glad it's over and done with now, and it's just onwards, getting myself better, learning how to use my bag, and no more disease, no more disease.
After 9 hours in theatre, I spent almost a week in hospital getting over the surgery. It was time to learn how to empty and change my ileostomy bag and show off my scars before heading home to continue my recovery.
Well, that's it then, I'm out of here after 6 days of being cooped up in Hartons Hospital. I did ask the consultant earlier whether that was a record after the surgery that I had. He said it wasn't. I said, couldn't you have humoured me? He said no. But I've got my drugs, I've got all my bags and everything else to look after my stoma, so it's just going to be 8 to 10 weeks now before I come back to hospital and decide what we're going to do when I can have the reversal part of the surgery. So that's it. Ask me my highs and lows of being in hospital for the last 6 days.
What are your highs and lows?
Lows, definitely being in a lot of pain, not sleeping at all for the whole time being here. But highs was the fact that there was a patient over in one part of the ward waiting for everybody else to fall asleep. When he thought we'd fallen asleep, he'd then go and rob everybody's food and everybody's drinks.
Now to get used to life with a bag. I was looking forward to getting back to work, getting myself fit, and to continue being rubbish with a golf club.
4 weeks. 4 weeks today since I've had my operation. That's 28 days. That's pretty much a month. I'm feeling pretty good. I had a bit of a problem last week with a blockage on my stoma, but other than that, everything's really, really good. And with the bag as well, life with a bag is absolutely spot on. Look how clean it is. It doesn't smell or anything. But at first I had a few problems with it. I had a few leakages, but I think that was just because I was like a novice and I didn't really know how to manage it. But I've been given a new bag by my stoma nurses, and now everything is tickety-boo. So, yeah, look at me. 4 weeks after major surgery, and I'm playing pitch and putt, and I'm winning.
My new friend Dave had inspired me loads. I wanted to show that although life with an IBD is incredibly debilitating, things can be possible when living with the disease and in life after surgery. 3 of us, all in different stages of the illness, decided to tackle Snowdon, the highest peak in Wales, and we weren't going to take the easy route. It was a test of physical endurance in a place far, far away from any conventional toilets, and something at times throughout my illness I never thought I'd be able to achieve. The 3 of us consisted of Dave, who had recovered from a successful reversal of his ileostomy, a lovely young lady called Hannah, a long-term sufferer of Crohn's disease, and myself.
What's been your worst experience with your colitis?
Been a fair few, really. Bit of a rocky road, but probably losing my job.
Oh.
What about you, Han?
Probably when I was on holiday in America. Our flight got cancelled on my home.
Yeah.
And I have to do this sort of dilatation procedure every day to keep one of my strictures open.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't provide me with anywhere to do it, so I had to lie on the bathroom floor of an airport and do it in public. It was pretty horrendous.
Oh no.
Embarrassing. You haven't told us yours yet.
I actually really do feel that I've been very lucky with my experiences.
Yeah.
The worst thing for me symptom-wise, other than obviously losing a lot of blood and being very painful and having to be on the toilet all the time, was I suffered really badly from night sweats. It's one of the symptoms. So I'd wake up absolutely drenched, and it got me so frustrated. Where's the rain?
Don't say that.
It was tough, but we wanted to show that things can be possible if you remain positive even during the darkest of times. Inflammatory bowel disease is horrendous, but by staying strong and surrounding yourself with like-minded people, you will always give yourself the best chance of happiness. A few months after climbing Snowdon, I had a successful reversal of my ileostomy. It's now been 3 years since I lost my bowel, and life is good. There are moments when I struggle, but that's life. It's not what happens, it's how you deal with it.